The Mavericks look for back-to-back wins on the road as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers, albeit shorthanded. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. All coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. You can always dial up the Stein line for our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, at the Stein line. Your Dallas Mavericks looking for back-to-back wins on the road as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers, albeit shorthanded tonight. The Mavericks, though, continuing their strong play, look to get another win against Portland this evening. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports while you are here. And, of course, download and subscribe to the podcast as well. Game time at 9 p.m. tonight, a late start time for your Dallas Mavericks out on the West Coast. Bobby, not thrilled are these two gentlemen about the start time. Good practice, though, because the Mavericks will play the Sacramento Kings on Monday at the same 9 p.m. start time.
You just made it worse.
I just had to remind you. I got to continue to remind you to get your mind ready and get your mind right over the rest of the weekend before the Mavericks take on the Sacramento Kings. Game number 32 for your Dallas Mavericks, as they, of course, are 20-11 on the season, 10-6 away from the American Airlines Center, visiting a Trailblazers team that's just 10-20 on the season, but are 7-7 at home so far this year. Mavericks 3.5-point favorite on the road. The over/under at 222.5, despite the fact that the Mavericks are going to be without Naji Marshall and, of course, PJ Washington. Which, gentlemen, that is our lead story going into tonight's game. The suspensions handed out today by Joe Dumars and the NBA. Naji Marshall being suspended for 4 games for his altercation with Jusuf Nurkic last night in Phoenix. PJ Washington being suspended for a game as well. They will begin serving their suspensions tonight. Jusuf Nurkic was suspended 3 games for his part in last night's fight, which means, gentlemen, the Mavericks are going to be severely shorthanded going into tonight's
Kevin,
game.
I've got really bad news for the show.
Damn, I'm suspended too, guys. I'm out. One game, I'm
disgusting.
gone. That was a disgusting push of Kevin that I just did.
It was a heinous act.
I am out for the entire evening. Eject me. I can't show up the next game either.
You do could look like Nurkic. I should have just punched you in the face is what I should have did.
Wow.
That would have been good TV. The message that the
I can't believe you would call me Jusuf Nurkic.
That is a bridge too far.
That is one of the worst things you've ever said on this entire show.
Y'all awake now, aren't you, though? Y'all awake now. Look at you. Y'all awake now. They awake now, aren't they, Tanner? Yeah, they awake now.
I should punch you for that.
See, look, hey, I'll do what you got to do, man. You got to do what you got to do.
The message the league sent with these suspensions is that, hey, if you're an NBA player and somebody hits you in the face, you should just sit there and take it and don't do anything. If you're a player's teammate and your teammate is in trouble, don't ever do anything. You just have to let someone beat you up. Naji should have put his hands behind his back and said, "Hello, my fellow NBA player brethren, man. We should settle this with our words, not with violence." As Nurkic is just beating him to a pulp. That's what he should have done. And then he wouldn't have been suspended, and it would have been fine. So good job, NBA. You guys really showed the Mavs who's boss. Jusuf Nurkic is single-handedly responsible for the embarrassing situation that happened last night. If he, again, would have just taken his L and walked back down the floor to get ready to flop on the next possession like he did the time before, nothing would have happened. But instead, that big, dumb oaf is now causing the Mavs to lose 5 player games due to suspension. That's a $300,000 fine that Kyrie Irving said he's going to pick up. So thank you, Jusuf Nurkic. Thank you, NBA. We are now subjected to watching a whole lot of Omax and Jaden Hardy minutes tonight because of you at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. I am so upset. But seriously, PJ shouldn't have even been ejected from the game, let alone suspended. It is truly mystifying to me. I will never understand why that's the case. other than blame it on woke.
You know what's funny is it kind of looks like Nurkic. He takes a step backwards and then trips over the ref.
That's what looked like it happened.
It really looks like Nurkic was not gonna fall, and I swear, like, I am not one to defend Yusuf Nurkic, but he might not have flopped. He might have tripped over the NBA's police, like the NBA's cops. That might have been what happened, and the cops were like, "Well, you can't let that happen. We were here, and you shouldn't have touched us." But like unbelievable stuff. Like in this instance, he might have not actually been just like tumbling to the floor. I think if he stays, on his feet, nothing happens
also,
to PJ.
the only reason that he did fall down too, even if he didn't trip over the ref, which I think he might have, but if he didn't trip over the ref, the reason he fell down is because his right foot was so far in the air because he was reaching over to land a haymaker on Naji Marshall's face. So PJ Washington de-escalated the situation, and again, the only reason Nurkic fell down is either because he tripped over a ref or because he was getting ready to make it way worse. So again, kudos to all the guys in the league office that really thought they cooked with this one. You guys made a grave mistake. I will never forget this moment in my life.
In your life.
As long as I live, I will remember what happened when Yusuf Nurkic crossed paths with a knife.
I think I plan to forget this. I don't really want to. It was so funny though. Like today, I was just rewatching the clip. Like I was texting with Austin Guria, my old podcast co-host, and he was like,
they both called him bum ass. It's awesome.
Everything, like every time you watch it, you find something else funny. I rewatched it and I imagine it was one of the tall NBA refs. I just imagine Tyler Ford being in the middle of that. Like that. What if Tyler Ford was the ref? Like all 6'2" of him.
Jason Kidd spoke to all of this.
Such a funny moment.
Prior to tonight's game on how the Mavericks are preparing to play without Naji Marshall and PJ Washington. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I think we had some prep time yesterday, and with them being both kicked out of the game, we had time to prepare to get Omax and everybody else in the game, and tonight Hardy and everyone else is on deck. Just like we've talked about with injuries or illness, it's the next guy up, and we have two guys that are out tonight due to suspension. So, everyone's on deck. We'll have a different starting lineup, but I think the group in there believes that we can try to find a way to win tonight.
And they'll look to try to find a way to win tonight as the Mavericks are 9-2 in their last 11 road games and won 15 of their last 19 games overall, and also with the win last night, improving to 7-2 without Luka Doncic in the lineup. The Mavericks already were going to be missing Naji Marshall and PJ Washington due to suspension. Obviously, Luka Doncic out as well. Dereck Lively II is going to be missing his second straight game with the left hip contusion that he's dealing with. So the front court going to be severely tested tonight as the Mavericks look to move to a season-high 10 games above 500, taking on a Blazers team that's just 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're coming off a win, though, on Thursday against the Utah Jazz, 122-120. Portland's in the middle of a 3-game homestand themselves. That includes the Mavericks tonight and then the Sixers on Monday before they go on the road for 5 straight games. That culminates with the Mavericks actually on January the 9th. The Blazers have gotten beat up by teams above 500 so far this year. Portland just 6-16 against teams above 500 so far this year, which gets us to Bobby Carella's scouting report on this evening, focusing in on the Blazers' Shaedon Sharpe.
Yeah, but before I get to Shaedon Sharpe stuff, Kevin, you mentioned that they're pretty good at home, the Blazers are.
Yep.
So going back to November 12th, they've beaten the Wolves twice. They beat the Hawks. They beat the Kings. They beat the Nuggets, and they beat the Jazz at home. They lost to the Spurs by 2. They lost to the Mavs by 6 in that game where they shot like 8,000%. And then they had a loss in there somehow to Utah by 42 points, which is really weird. But at home, they've been pretty good. They're at least competitive at home, right? And on the second night of the back-to-back, you're going to be a little tired. One guy that was, I don't think he played the first time the Mavs and Blazers played, but he definitely played the last time the Mavs and Blazers played, is Shaedon Sharpe. Over his last 4 games, he's averaging 23 points per game, 56% from the floor, 39.3% from 3, and he's taking 7 attempts per game. We've seen the kind of pressure and stress that Anthony Simons put on the Mavs whenever they were in Dallas before, or whenever they were in Portland before. That game in Dallas, Simons didn't really do anything, and Jeremy Grant didn't really do anything, but Shaedon Sharpe had a really good game. He finished that game with, Well, never mind. He didn't have a really good game. That was the one game he played bad. But Ayton played well too. So like the Blazers do have those 4 guys and Denny Avdia as all, pretty dynamic players that can put pressure on your defense. The Mavs had a very, very solid defensive performance against the Suns last night, despite playing a pretty risky game plan, in my opinion. We'll see if they do that again, if one of those guys gets going. But I think, as weird as it is to say, the Blazers are headed one-way ticket straight to the lottery. They are a better shooting team than Phoenix. And so I don't want to just leave a bunch of guys open tonight. You're going to have to try and stay home on these guys and play really good one-on-one defense. And I bring up Sharp in particular because Kyrie's going to have to guard someone. I don't want Kyrie guarding Simons. You definitely don't want him guarding like Jeremy Grant, for example. So he might have to guard Sharp, and Sharp has been really good lately. So it's just kind of the one guy to watch, I think, that could be a surprise blow-up candidate.
Shaedon Sharp averaging nearly 18 points per game so far this year. Anthony Simons averaging 17 points per game. Defensively, they'll be led, of course, by DeAndre Ayton and Donovan Clingan. DeAndre Ayton so far averaging 10 rebounds per contest while giving them nearly 15 points per game. Donovan Clingan, the rookie, of course, out of UConn, averaging nearly 2 blocks per game and 6 rebounds per contest. A Portland team that's not very good overall this year. A team that's 6th worst in the NBA in points per game, 4th worst in field goal percentage, 5th worst in three-point percentage as well, and 6th worst in turnovers per game. Also, 3rd worst in offensive rating and 4th worst in defensive rating so far this year are the Portland Trailblazers. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks have the 3rd best record in the NBA since November 15th at the 15-4 mark that they are. Mavericks, of course, number 4 in offensive rating, have now climbed back into the top 10 by virtue of holding the Suns to 89 points last night. In terms of defensive rating, they're number 9 in defensive rating over their last 19 games as well, which gets them to 6th overall in terms of net rating, a team that's been playing extremely well despite all the injuries and adversity that they're dealing with. Speaking of tonight's game, the Mavericks and the Blazers are playing for the second time in just 6 days. The Mavericks, of course, blew out the Blazers on Monday in what was a 132-108 win. Luka Doncic, of course, in that game had 27 points at the AAC. The Mavericks already 2-0 against the Portland Trail Blazers this month alone. This is actually the 3rd time that the Mavericks and Blazers have played each other in the month of December. So the Blazers and Mavericks got really familiar with each other so far in the month of December. The Mavericks, of course, won back in Portland on December 1st in what was a 137-131 shootout to be able to get the first win of the season. The Mavericks will look to clinch the season series tonight as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers.
Lineups are out, and it is... My first reaction to this is to get even more mad at the NBA.
Is it what I predicted?
It's Kyrie Irving,
Okay.
Klay Thompson,
Okay.
Daniel Gafford. We knew those 3 guys would start.
Yep.
Maxi Kleba, which I don't know how I feel about him starting alongside Gafford. I think that's a kind of a weird front court. And Spencer Dinwiddie as
Also
your 2.
a guard-heavy lineup. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Kyrie, Dinwiddie, Klay, Maxi, Gafford.
I'm surprised Grimes is not getting the start with a little more defense.
But it's also funny
a little
that
more
like
physicality.
this is the least depth the Dallas has had all season, and you've still got Quentin Grimes, Jaden Hardy, Max coming off the bench.
Dwight Powell.
Dwight Powell.
He's having one of his best seasons.
Yeah, Dwight Powell's been playing
really
great.
good,
No,
yeah.
legitimately. Like
No, that's not a joke. He's been really good.
And I'm matching the fact that you because I know people will hear this and just assume
no,
it's
for
a
sure.
joke. I am matching your sincerity with my own sincerity. He has been having a great season.
Let's talk about our feelings.
Bobby's
but, like,
pissed off at the NBA after what happened last
Dude,
night.
it's at 9 p.m. If this was a 6 p.m. tip-off, I wouldn't care. Be like, whatever,
Right.
it's over. We'd already be doing post-game right now.
You're right.
I have to stay up for 5 more hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot, NBA. God, Yusuf Nurkic, it's on site for you, buddy.
Oh, wow. Not on site for
Oh,
Nurkic. Okay.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he'll fall down. Like, I'll win that one. I don't care.
So the
Yeah,
Mavericks.
there's players. There's players. This is my point. you know?
Yes.
And look, Max and Jaden Hardy are exciting in the sense that we don't see them always play extended minutes that often, and
They're going to get their
often-
opportunity tonight.
often when they play extended minutes, it's not as exciting as it might seem. There's a lot of excitement in the unknown. The unknown often isn't as fun as the
Hardy
known.
needs to get some run,
But-
though.
But yeah, he
He's
does.
missed a lot of time. Like,
Yeah,
and
Hardy's gonna get out there.
He's been so shaky. Like, if he just
Yeah.
gets like 10 minutes, just go out there, just do whatever you want. Like, no risk of being yanked, because there is no risk of being yanked tonight. Like, there's no other options unless he's just horrible and you want to give Goatman a run. But like that
Right.
could maybe shake him out of the rust. And
But
get him rhythm.
that's still 10 players. 10 players that I don't think any of us are thinking or saying that person should definitively not be on the court right now.
We're going to find out a lot tonight as the Mavericks take on the Portland Trail Blazers. More on the Mavericks starting lineup, who's in and who's out for both teams, plus some X factors that we'll get into as the Mavericks get ready to take on the Portland Trail Blazers in a late tip-off on Saturday night. We'll do all that coming up here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show.
But first, it's my sleeper play of the night, and I've decided to be a little risky because I was chugging caffeine right before we started this, so I kind of regret my decision. But if I win, it's a 7.6 times multiplier. So I'm going with DeAndre Ayton to get a double-double because I think he's just going to get a lot of rebounds. Klay Thompson, 15.5 points. I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I'm actually going to go with it. Maxey, I think he's going to make a 3. I'm a big Maxey believer.
He going to have
and
to
then
tonight.
Quentin Grimes, I'm going to take him for more than 20.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. That, of course, is before I knew that he was going to be coming off the bench tonight, so I'm a little upset about that. But, again, if you want to make all those plays, the more you the more you add, like the more your multiplier gets, the more you can win if you do get your pick 'em right. So if you want to play along, download Sleeper, create a new account, use promo code DLLS Mavs. You play $5 to get 55 more for free, and you can turn that into $1 million starting tonight with this play.
Make sure you download the Sleeper app. Use code DLLS Mavs. Play $5 and get $55 yourself.
The noise gates on these microphones work so well because there are like so many engines just like light on fire right outside our office for some reason, and I can never hear them.
Dude, it's just downtown. I promise you. Like this entire area, and also because it's tall, like stuff echoes a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that other places without engines,
It just sounds like it's in here. Like it sounds like it's in the studio.
But the mics never pick it up.
Yeah, this is
amazing.
This is part of the course for living in a city, baby.
Let's get you tonight's injury report when it comes to the Mavericks and the Portland Trail Blazers. Plus, we'll hear from Jason Kidd discussing Maxey Kleber's importance as he will be in the starting lineup tonight. Let's run it down for the Portland Trail Blazers. Delano Banton, he will be out tonight. He's got a left hip contusion. Toumani Camara, he's also going to be out. He's dealing with a left foot sprain. Matisse Thybulle, he remains out. He's dealing with a right ankle sprain. Robert Williams III, he is out tonight. He's dealing with a right ankle sprain. But Deni Avdija is available. He's going to be in the starting lineup for the Portland Trail Blazers. He's been dealing with some low back soreness. But Deni Avdija is available and starting for Portland tonight. Meanwhile, Dereck Lively II is out for the second straight game with the left hip contusion. Luka Doncic is out with the left calf strain, of course. Dante Exum remains out with the right wrist injury. Naji Marshall, PJ Washington, of course, out due to suspension. Jusuf Nurkic. Meanwhile, we focus in on our Mavericks player spotlight tonight, and we focus in on, you could call him Maxey or Moxie, Mark Stein, because Maxey Kleber played his best game of the season last night with his 15 points and 7 rebounds for the Dallas Mavericks. Was a +4 in 26 minutes and hit some crucial shots and made some crucial plays down the stretch for Dallas. He is in the starting lineup tonight for your Mavericks. Jason Kidd speaking to the importance of the veteran and what he's going to mean for the Mavericks tonight as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah, he was huge last night. He's been huge here of late, and again, we're going to lean on him a little bit tonight to be that veteran calmness on the offense and defensive end for us. And I think he's up for that challenge, but he's gonna be called upon a lot tonight, and hopefully he's up for that challenge.
So Maxey Kleber is going to be called upon tonight to really help out this Mavericks team. The defensive connectivity that Kleber provides on that end of the floor, his shot making is going to be key tonight as well. With the limited offensive options that the Mavericks have, Tim Cato, Maxey Kleber is going to have to be at his best again tonight, much like how he was last night against Phoenix.
They should run the offense through him. Yeah. No, I mean, this
Post
is a great...
up Maxey on the first play of the game since PJ's not available.
Oh my God! Please do it. Please, that would be so cool.
If you had to, I mean, if you had to do it, you'd run it through Gafford. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody. Maxey would be the funniest option. Look, we said it. Bobby has said it. You know, we all understand Maxey is a confidence player, and he's confident right now. He just had 15 points. You know, we're looking at the box score from last night's game, and we're seeing the 15 next to him, and I'm like, this is weird. This is an unusual number that I haven't seen in a while. But it's exciting. It's exciting when he plays well. He's a very good player when, like a really impactful player when he can play offense. not even this, like, he doesn't even have to play as good as he did, or maybe about as good. You know, he obviously got some uncontested dunks that padded the numbers a little bit. Really, I just want to see Maxey being willing to take a three, make a three, and, you know, be confident. He was very confident in his movements, even when he drove, and I think he drives too much, and, you know, some of those shots should probably just be catch-and-shoot jumpers. But even when I thought, you know, when he was driving to the rim in the game against Phoenix, I thought that he was very decisive about it and looked good. You know, recognized that there was space, wasn't driving into traffic. So that, you know, if Maxey can beat that, you know, if he can keep that going, if he can keep that confidence going from the Phoenix game, that's important for Dallas. You know, it's important for a game like this, but it's important for the rest of the season. And it probably, knowing Maxey, knowing, you know, how his past few years has gone, it's probably not going to be, you know, just a linear line upwards. It's probably going to, you know, be a little bit like an EKG. You know, it's going to be up and down at times, but getting the good version of Maxey and knowing that the good version of Maxey is still in there, something that we were, quite frankly, you know, not hoping for, but, you know, I think we were all questioning it because of how bad it looked to start the year. Knowing that good version of him is still in there and seeing it continue in a game against Portland, a team that, you know, is not the toughest competition out here. I think that's important. That's something that matters. It matters for the rest of the season. It matters for right now in this exact moment against a team that you'd like to beat, even shorthanded. So, all that said, let's go see another good game from him.
Bobby, the last time these two teams met in Portland, defense was optional. The Mavericks are going to have to win with their defense, given how shorthanded they are, especially on the offensive end. Kleber's defensive connectivity is something that Mavericks fans have come to know and love over the years, even with how maligned he may be on the offensive end. The defensive portion of what he brings tonight is going to be extremely important for Dallas.
I don't think that the defense was optional whenever they played in Portland. Portland just, I mean, they just didn't miss a single dang shot the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, they were just, they were shooting like crazy. You know, I mean, when Kamara's making 5 threes, and I mean, that was brutal. Maxey tonight, the reason that I don't really like Maxey starting, and look, I'll eat my words if he has a great game and whatever, is just because the Blazers have wings. They don't really have that bigger 4, you know. And so I thought tonight would be a good opportunity either to have Maxey as the backup 5 or just to bring him off the bench just to keep him doing what he does, to kind of keep him in that role. Going back to the start of the 22-23 season, he played 5 back-to-backs that season. He played 4 back-to-backs last season. And this is already his 4th back-to-back played this season, which is pretty surprising, given that he's missed quite a few games. But, you know, you have to keep him in tip-top physical shape. You have to keep him healthy. You have to keep him available. And I think playing him as a starter whenever he's going to be guarding a wing kind of perimeter player is just sort of like, okay. And then also
you don't view
means
Jeremy Grant kind of as a 3.5, 4?
Sort of. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
It used to be the player he matched up really well with.
Yeah, I think that
Grant, I feel like you could take him off the dribble a little
Max
bit.
or even Grimes could probably guard Grant. I'm just not worried about Jeremy Grant. I'm really not. Now, I actually do like Maxey guarding Denny Avdia. I think that is interesting. I don't think that we're going to see that necessarily, but then I'm trying to think of who would guard Avdia. I don't want Dinwiddie guarding Avdia. I saw that. That was optional. I choose against that option. I don't want Kyrie guarding him, and I don't really want Clay guarding him. So maybe Maxey is the Avdia guy. I would actually like that quite a bit. I could talk myself into that, but yeah, Maxey's, I mean, he is super duper ultra mega important. The best version of him is a guy on this team that fills a role in this team that no one else can. So it's really important to keep him, you know, performing at the level that he is right now.
I guess it's just some of our X factors for tonight's game as the Mavericks take on the Portland Trailblazers. If you're going to be watching the game on television, you can watch it on KFAA Channel 29, of course, Mavericks TV. Or if you're out of market, you can watch it on NBA League Pass. Let's get to our first X factor of tonight's game. And Kyrie Irving is going to have to set the offensive tone for the Dallas Mavericks. He did so, hitting his first 4 threes of the game against the Phoenix Suns. Unfortunately, though, he missed 15 of his last 17 shots of the game to finish what was 6 of 21 from the field. But, gentlemen, Kyrie Irving, he's the best offensive option that the Mavericks are going to have, not only creating him for himself, but for his teammates as well. Kyrie Irving is going to have maybe a legacy game tonight, too, in order to help the Mavericks get a win against Portland. He's got to be dynamite offensively for them.
I know what you mean. I just have to push back. I'm not sure you can have a legacy game against the Portland Trailblazers.
I'm just saying.
I know what you mean. I just let's
Go get 50, Kyrie. Go get 50 tonight.
But
the opportunity is waiting for you.
Oh
but
my
no,
God.
I do think, he said it, in as many words. He's, he was asked about whether he was going to play in the next game. And he's like, no, man, what are you talking about? Like,
I'm going to be out there.
Exactly. So he understands the urgency, and like the fact that he's been, even all the shots he took, even as he was missing, he can, when he's playing next to Luka, he can be passive. He can have, appropriately passive, usually, sometimes a little too passive, but for the most part, appropriately passive. But if he's playing next to Luka and Luka's playing well, he's happy to shoot 14 times and call it a night. And he understands that's not the situation. There is a reason that it was Kyrie Irving who, missed 15 of 17. That happened because he understood it had to happen. He needed to take those shots. Obviously, would have been great if he made a few more. He certainly would have expected himself to. But this is, Kyrie understands the moment. He matches the moment in terms of what's expected out of him. He didn't match it in terms of shot making in the Phoenix game, but they won anyway. And I do think that he's gonna come through. I do think this is gonna be, a bounce back game from him. I would expect that. Just because that's what I expect out of Kyrie Irving. I don't expect him to have 2 bad games in a row. That is something even at 32. This is something that I do feel to some extent is within his control. Because I think basketball is something that is within his control. That when you are a master of this craft at this level, you are somebody who has the ability to exert your will, kind of at force. Not to the extent that Luka can, but he still is able to do that. I think he's going to come out and do that tonight. It's certainly important. He's the guy who gets 2 feet in the paint. He's the guy who makes the offense move in war. But I think I would expect something better. I would expect something more akin to the first 4 shots than the last 17.
They don't have anybody that can guard him the way that Dunn and Okogie can.
Correct.
So it should be easier for him tonight. But does he have the legs? That's really what's going to come down to, I think.
Yeah, and the Mavericks will need that from Kyrie Irving tonight to be able to try to win tonight's game. I guess it's X factor number 2 because, Bobby, we saw the starting lineup. The bench last night for the Mavericks was able to have 40 points. You got 15 from Maxi Kleber. You got 15 from Spencer Dinwiddie. Tonight, though, that bench is going to be severely tested. Who off the bench can provide some kind of spark given what the Mavericks have to run out for the lineup tonight?
I don't know. I mean, I think
that's an honest answer.
It would be great. Yeah, no,
I love it.
And not in like a doomer sense. It's just like it's got to be Hardy, right? Like, Powell can
Grimes
come in.
coming off the bench. He's got to be.
Yeah, Grimes, I guess, for sure. But like, Dwight is only going to score off spoon-fed stuff from the guards, and Omax, it's like, okay, if you can knock down a 3, that's cool. Or like Markieff Morris, are you getting in there? Goatman, like maybe, I don't know, probably. But like, it's Hardy and Grimes, that's it. If one or both of those guys can get into double figures early and just like come in and kind of change the feel of the game, that could be good. Because I think this starting lineup is slow, dude. Like Maxey, Dinwiddie, Gafford, this is a slow. Clay is not really getting out and running. Like he'll spot up, but he's not going to the rim. Like there's not going to be a lot of transition stuff. This is going to be a very slow, deliberate, intentional style of basketball tonight. And so Hardy and Grimes, if they can come in and change the feel of the game, I think that could be good. Which
is why I am surprised that Grimes isn't necessarily in the starting lineup, given some of the size and athleticism that the Portland Trailblazers present. I thought
so he can guard Simons too. Like he's
exactly
that kind of guy.
Yeah. So I'm a little surprised that he's not necessarily in the starting lineup, but hopefully he can provide that spark off the bench for the Mavericks going against the Blazers tonight. And finally, for me, when it comes to some of the X factors for tonight's game, you got to find a way to get some easy buckets in transition. I know, obviously, with the lineup that the Mavericks have tonight, it's going to feel a little bit slower. But when offense is going to be at a premium, you've got to be able to at least find some measure of points in transition. The Mavericks last night were able to get 15 fast break points against the Suns. Manufacture some offense with your defense. If you're going to play this lineup, you got to be able to defend and hopefully be able to get some easy buckets to make things a little bit easier on you, because it may be difficult in the half court tonight to find the offense given the lineup they're running out there tonight. We'll see what happens. Mavericks take on the Portland Trailblazers. Mavericks looking to get to a season-high 10 games above 500. It's going to be difficult tonight, obviously. No Dereck Lively, no Luka Doncic, no P.J. Washington, no Naji Marshall. Yes, I know. I'm just running it down. It sounds like
Dante Exum, where he's at.
I was still working.
Again, I think just send him out there and have him play with only his left hand.
Tonight would be the night, dude.
Tonight would be night. Clay, go get yourself 25. Why not? Kyrie might have to go get 50. Clay, go get yourself 25 tonight. You've been playing well as of late as well. It's another guy that we hadn't necessarily mentioned. We'll see if Clay can do something to try to help out this Mavericks team. We'll be back here, of course, 15 minutes after the final buzzer of tonight's game. It will be a late one, boys and girls. We will be joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, during our post-game show as well. We really appreciate you joining us here on our pregame show. Again, you can watch the game on KFAA Channel 29, and we'll be back here 15 minutes after the game is over. It's time for Mavericks basketball as the Mavericks look for back-to-back wins on the road after beating the Suns last night, taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. Really appreciate you joining us here. For Bobby Carello, that's Tim Cato. I'm Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you post-game right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.